Hi guys, welcome back to another day in Erinn. This is a series that has been around for over 5 years, and it is about getting to know more about the people in the community that we've seen for a very long time. So, today we have Suljko.
Hey.
Are you ready for your questions?
Yeah, let's get it started.
Alright, so, how long have you been playing for?
Well, I believe I started playing back in somewhere in 2014, 2015 with two real-life friends that I started my journey with.
Ooh, okay. Are they still around?
No. One of them quit very early on, like about 2 years, and then the other quit relatively recently, like a few years ago, maybe 2 or so. But they did help me throughout my journey, and it was sort of one of those, how would you call it, like, it was almost like playing G1, essentially.
Aww.
Like, he had, like, the trio of, Ruhari and all them.
Yeah.
Basically, I was Ruhari, the elf in the party was our archer, and then we had one of them being a mage, so it was fitting.
Oh, and I laughed because that always seems to be the case, that the friends that got them into the game are like, they're gone.
Yeah.
So it's not out of disrespect or anything.
Oh no, of course, and I understand. I mean, even I chuckle now from time to time because I see the kind of progress I've made from way back when I started to now.
Yeah, you're like real pro right now, you know. No, you've got good gear though, so it's definitely a long way from the very beginning, like G1.
Oh yeah, way back, way back. Like, I think it was right when G19 and stuff was getting released, and it was like, going sequentially.
Yeah.
Basically something like that.
Yeah. So, do you have a favorite talent?
Favorite talent? Well, other than the very obvious, close combat, just because it's one of the most flexible styles that I use. My other favorite talent that I've started using recently and started, like, getting used to is puppetry.
Oh, okay.
Purely because puppetry, from my standpoint, is extremely useful to support my party members, since that's sort of my style. Is I'm the guy that's supposed to, take all the aggro and make sure that the people who need to buff and need to, deal damage can do what they can do.
Yeah.
And then I absorb all the damage, because basically speaking, most things can't deal damage to me unless they deal, like, fixed percent damage. And even then, that's blocked with Mana Shield. But getting to the point, though, with puppetry, it allows for some different sort of gameplay, just because since the puppets are technically summons and not, the player, in some cases, they allow you to dodge certain things that might make a fight difficult. An example being Succubus Queen, where her safeguard mechanic is kind of annoying.
Yeah, it is a little bit.
Just because pretty much it's an anti-melee, like, debuff. You pretty much, if you go in melee range, you're guaranteed to almost get inflicted with level 3 every single time.
Yeah.
But a little known quirk with puppets is that because they are summons and that safeguard is a player-only debuff, the puppets cannot suffer safeguard, and therefore all the damage they do through skills are not reduced.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's a little weird oddity or quirk with how puppets work, but it's stuff like that that makes me enjoy them, just because even though they are a little difficult to get used to, because even, like, depending on which camera type you have, because there's the marionette camera and the player camera.
Yeah.
I personally prefer the marionette camera, just because of realistically, the marionette uses the skills.
Yep.
The player just loads them. So if I'm following the marionette makes it a lot easier to, like, understand skill range and where it's going to be cast, instead of having the camera focus on me, but then I have a summon that I essentially have to, like, feel out where the range is.
Yeah. And, like, I feel like puppetry is, like, it's a very unique type of talent, like, compared to other games that have, like, certain classes.
Oh, absolutely. Like, even if you do have stuff like summoners, like in Final Fantasy, for example,
Yeah.
it's not quite the same since those sort of attack autonomously or they do some sort of, big attack advantage.
Yeah.
In this case, you're literally controlling a summon physically, like making it a player essentially, and loading skills through it.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
All right. So do you have any names that you'd like to shout out, like some friends that you'll always remember if the game were to ever shut down or something?
oh yeah, of course. I mean, we have an official. She's recently started talking more as Lunaru. I've known her since way back, like back when I was in the guild Sorcery, which our old guild member had suffered from like a disease and such, and they
Oh.
passed, unfortunately. Yeah,
Aw.
yeah, it's unfortunate, but we sort of carried the legacy on
Yeah.
like forward with her guild now.
Yeah,
And
oh,
if nothing
actually,
else,
I remember when I was in Toy Shop for a short while, I remember that story, actually.
and I can confirm that that story is 100% true because I was one of the founding people in Sorcery.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a sad story.
It is, but we run way back, and she helps me out with stuff. I help her out with stuff. It's like we're just really good friends.
Yeah, of course.
Other than that, I have to thank Jinsu for providing me like guidance and like sort of, setting me straight on certain things.
Yeah, just like me the other day on the Mabby official Discord, yeah.
Yeah. And then Snowy as well, because Snowy has helped me with a lot of like math related questions in terms of like certain mechanics and how they work and like max damage stacking and whatnot.
You guys have like big brain for this game.
Well, yeah, because I'm a very numbers sort of guy. Like I do enjoy actually calculating out like theoretical stuff, just because in this game there's a lot more freedom if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
To be able to like mess around with your stats and organize yourself in a certain way.
Yeah. All right.
So.
Do you have a favorite Fashionogi item?
Favorite Fashionogi item?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if this counts as Fashionogi technically because it's also a normal armor set that some people use.
Oh no, definitely.
But I personally like the whole look of like the Saint Guardian set.
Yes.
Just because it gives me that imposing sort of, saintly knight type feel.
It is so nice looking. I agree.
Yeah, like I could even put it on right now if
Oh yeah, go for it.
you want me to change. So yeah, give me a sec because it's gonna force me to do some changes.
Yeah, of course.
I won't change into the helm just because I prefer the shades. But
Yeah.
other than that, let's see if I can get this all moved around.
Ooh. Almost done. Get those gaunts. Get them.
Yep, there you go. And then gauntlets, wherever they are. Style, bam.
Nice.
And yeah, it especially works well when they release the Halloween trinket capes, which is another thing that's sort of tied with me, like the Saint Guardian set, just because it almost looks like the two are meant to go together.
I agree.
So
it's so nice.
Yeah, it makes me wish that there was a sort of like, because I use it right now as my main set, right?
Yeah.
But in the future, like I wish there was a sort of like, I guess it would be called like glamour. Like I think it's how Final Fantasy 14 uses it.
I think so. Yeah.
In which you essentially like you have the layer of whatever armor you want on or whatever, like visually, but you then have the armor under it, like equipped. So it's like I could have Saint Guardian on and still, despite having whatever in my style tab, still layer it over.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, but isn't there the style tab? But I get it now. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, there is the style tab, but it's not perfect. Like
Yeah.
there's certain things that it doesn't work with properly, and it does create some weird stuff. Like right now having the Saint Guardian stuff on, but not having it in my body slot, which is kind of bad.
Yeah. So.
But yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. All I was gonna say was, I mean, when it first came out, I managed to secure myself like a whole set, and it's kind of just stuck with me ever since, like as a option to switch into when I'm not in my what is it called? Like my almost like a PI sort of thing, private investigator.
No. Yeah.
Oops.
I mean, if you're gonna have it, if you're gonna have a trench coat, you better be a PI.
Yeah, just gotta find it. There you go. Put that all back on.
I do like the trench coat too.
Yeah, the trench coat is honestly one of those when it was released, like, it came around on me just purely because of the whole, serious look.
It also looks really good on giants, just in general.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It was made for a bigger body type kind of thing.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say, on the other hand, do you have a favorite piece of combat gear, or just combat Nogi stuff?
I mean, if we're looking purely at like my gear, right?
Oh, let me. Okay, you do have view equipment on. Okay, good.
Yeah, you can take a look at my view equipped. I mean, my favorite will still always be my hammer. I believe it is on the left. This should be my ego one. It should say Spirit Frosted Borealis, I think, unless the player's looking at it. It's the one
yes,
that's
yes. Sorry, I didn't even look at the very top where it says that it's the spirit.
Yeah, it's how I differentiate the two. But that one is like my baby because that one came out pretty much perfectly, like in every aspect. The one next to it is pretty much perfect, but it's off by like certain stats or whatever. Not that it matters, because there's stuff like balance and critical, which basically don't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, with these two, I've sort of just went on a journey trying to upgrade them at this point, and hopefully with what's being announced on Tuesday.
What?
That's
oh, right, the April stuff. Right.
Yeah, the April update. If that is the life skill.
Also, I should say, this recording is on a different date. It might be past Tuesday. I'm not sure. We'll see. So that might be already out, whatever it is.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Point is, if it is in fact the life skill update, then I should hopefully be able to finish the erg on both the hammers.
Oh, okay.
Because they're both 45 right now. I'd like to get them both to 50.
The erg update that I've been hearing about, you think that's what it's going to be?
Well, basically what it would add would be the erg potions, which
yes.
Yeah, which should make erg significantly easier for those of us trying to break 45, because using an erg pot increases it by a pretty significant amount. I believe it goes from 0.3% to like 1% per tap.
Yeah, I've seen those potions. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty solid, but yeah, it's sort of been my favorite like gear to invest in, just because it's back when I was looking for gear, right, to like invest into. I didn't want to sort of follow I wouldn't call it a trend, but it was basically, this was back when Perseus Knuckles had come out, right?
Yeah.
And so everybody and their mom was like, Knuckles. But I personally didn't like the sort of one-dimensional style of Knuckles, where it's you pretty much going for the combo, and if you can't, you kind of have to back out, because Knuckles don't have a lot of defensive prowess to them. It's a lot really high offense but no defense.
Yeah.
But hammers sort of fulfilled that niche when I asked around about it, because on top of providing the standard defenses and stuff that erg does for all close combat weapons, for the most part, it also, with the ego update when that came out, allowed for a sort of unique build, just because ego one hand's ultimate effect in the middle tree allows for like close combat skill usage to have a 50-50 chance to heal you for 10% of your HP.
Oh, okay.
Now, there are some little nitty-gritty like things that I've played around with that sort of make no sense as to why they trigger that effect, such as, for example, Windguard. Being hit in it for whatever reason counts as using the skill, because it's technically like a loading defense. Yeah, It's weird, because even though the ego literally says on it, right, if I go like look at it, it says, like an attack, a close combat talent attack.
Yeah.
Technically using a skill like defense, right, for what its purpose is, which is defending, will also allow you to heal. So it's the idea is, based on me and other players testing, is that it's Windguard essentially puts you in a semi-permanent state of defense. Like you just don't do the defense animation. Yeah, so when you get hit, it will flip a 50-50 coin on whether or not you heal. That's why in certain content, like I believe it's Revived Illusion, I usually can just stand at the fire circles just because my raw protection is so high that the fire circles don't deal any damage, and so I can take out stuff like the Grendels and whatnot, or the Salamanders without suffering any sort of consequences because of the fact that the damage is reduced to nothing, and I can also heal from every hit if I'm in Wind Guard.
Okay.
But yeah, outside of those little interesting quirks, it's also just I really like the dual wield meta that humans had way back when.
Yeah.
But my hope is in the future that they sort of look back at Erg and give one-handed swords a thing and allow that as a build for humans. Since I would like to see them do somewhat similar things.
They need to update a lot of the ergs in general, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Some of them have either literally no effect, like one-hand wands and atlatls, especially
yes,
atlatl.
Atlatls. Thank you.
Like
Sorry.
atlatls make me. No, you're fine, because like atlatls legitimately make me cry because it's a weapon type I actually.
It's like they
would have
completely
huge interest.
forgot about them.
They did, because they introduced ego, right, which made me happy because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh hey, they didn't forget about them, but then they proceeded to completely do that when they released Crom.
Yeah.
Like I would have been fine had there been an atlatl there, but they haven't released a new atlatl in years.
Yes, exactly. Oh, they need to bring, because they bring out like Nightbringer stuff, and like they had the Celtic stuff, like just lineups of new gear that are all a part of a set or whatever. But they just never bring the atlatl into it, and it's like, why?
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, if they wanted to introduce a new atlatl type, they could legitimately just put it in tech, like you know how they did the demolition and ruination.
Yes.
They could have a demolition and ruination atlatl
No,
with
you're right.
the specific spear type, like that increases damage or whatever.
You're completely right. Oh gosh, I hope they do that. I hope they listen to this and they see that, or hear that, I guess. That we want this.
Well, yeah.
It's a big thing.
Because it would give giants a unique sort of weapon type to utilize.
Yeah.
While it is extremely one-dimensional, that its only attack is obviously, the skill, throwing attack.
Yeah.
With the ego, it allows it to essentially turn into a ranged bomb.
Yeah.
Since I believe, if I remember correctly, that the range on it, like when you have the maxed amplitude, is basically the same range as rank 1 windmill.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Rank 1 windmill pre-buff, and then it deals 20% from the splash. So it's like basically it'd be like a weaker crash shot for giants, like on its own.
Yeah.
It turns it would be a magnum that has like a weaker crash aspect added to it, which would allow giants to have their own form of range damage that isn't low damage multi-hits, like gun or ninja.
Yeah, I agree.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that could be a whole other. We could talk about that topic forever. Honestly, I think. But I guess moving on from that, do you have any advice that you would like to give people, whether it be in real advice or in game advice?
Honestly, for both, realistically, especially in this game, it is sort of aimless. Like, there's a lot of systems at the start which can confuse newer players, so I completely understand where they're coming from because I was just as clueless when I started.
Yeah.
But never hurt to ask, like, players around you. Like me, for example, I will absolutely tell you what what you should and shouldn't do, just because a lot of content does need to be sort of stripped away and re-updated by Nexon, but whenever they get to it is God knows when.
So it's more like you'll tell them what is a good idea to do right now, but not like things that they might be interested in. They could eventually update it and make it worthwhile.
Yeah, something like that. Basically, where it's like, this is what you should go for. Like, what sort of combat style do they want, right?
Yeah,
would be the first important question. And then how do they want to play Mabi? Like, do they want to be a combat Nogi? Do they want to do life skill stuff? Because it really depends. I've met all kinds of people who do all kinds of play styles.
Yeah, definitely.
Realistically, though, I will tell them what, like, even if they like a certain playstyle, I will tell them what, the cons and pros are of it.
Yeah.
If they still want to go through with it, because I'm not one to try to hype up something other than my own stuff, obviously. But that's also because I've played around with it and I just find it super neat.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it's also in this game for people like losing heart and trying to, like not finding what they want. You have to set goals in this game.
Yeah.
That's something I've noticed throughout the years that I've played is
Yeah.
whenever I've set a goal in front of myself of, reach X landmark or reach next X thing, I almost always get to it just because of, it depends on the person, right?
Yeah.
But for the most part, if you dedicate yourself to a goal and you learn how to talk to like people, I'm not even saying to be a social butterfly or anything, right?
Yeah.
But if you know the right people to talk to and to try to build like rapport with them, just to, so they know you're a good person to rely upon, that you can, pay back on stuff if you happen to borrow things, stuff like that. It's important just because that way in the overall community, you then gain, notoriety. You're like, oh, it's that player.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a huge thing in the community. It's a very community driven game, so you need that.
Right.
But yeah.
So yeah, that's basically my thing.
Okay. So there's nothing else? That's all?
Yep, that's all.
Alright. So, I will see everybody in Erinn in the next video. Goodbye.